What's up everyone? Today I'm bringing you one of the best PvP builds out there. This build is great for long to mid-range fights, allowing you to pick people off their towers or defend against attacks. This video will focus on PvP since I'm playing in Prism Clash scenario. Before we dive in, if you're enjoying the content, make sure to hit that subscribe button. This build revolves around the Bullseye effect. The Bullseye debuff inflicts enemies with an 8% vulnerability, increasing the damage they take. This is a very overpowered effect in PvP. It basically gives you a wall hack once you mark an enemy, and it lasts for 12 seconds. Also, we can buff this effect via mods, which makes it even stronger. I'll talk more in detail about which mods are best in the mod section. There are 4 different Bullseye weapons and each weapon triggers this effect differently, so picking the right one is crucial. Even though this build got nerfed, it's still incredibly strong in both PvP and PvE. In my opinion, it definitely needs another nerf, so use it while it's still very strong. Our primary weapon of choice will be Wildfire. Wildfire has a 60% chance to mark enemies no matter where you shoot them. There's also an 80% chance to spread the Bullseye buff to enemies within a 15-meter radius. If there are no enemies in that range, it will grant you a 25% damage buff for 10 seconds. This buff stays with you even after swapping weapons. Another buff it grants you is 3% attack when you hit an enemy's weak spot, stacking up to 3 times for 10 seconds. However, this buff will not transfer when swapping weapons. Wildfire is best for close to mid-range combat. The second weapon we will be using is AWS Bingo. Bingo has a 70% chance to trigger Bullseye when you hit an enemy in the weak spot, but you can guarantee a Bullseye by swapping into this weapon. Bingo will give you a 15% weak spot damage buff, stacking up to 3 times for 10 seconds, and this buff remains after swapping weapons. However, getting a 15% damage buff after killing an enemy for 20 seconds is not transferable. You can get both weapons from Wish Machine for 8k Starcrom. For calibrations, go with Rapid Fire with double weak spot for both of your weapons. In PvP scenario, it is crucial to kill your target as quickly as possible, and having Rapid Fire calibration for the most DPS really helps. Next, let's go over attachments, as they matter a lot in PvP. Starting with Wildfire, you want to go with a suppressor. Staying quiet makes it much harder for enemies to spot you. Go with the compact reflex sight, integrated laser sight, and extended pistol mag. For Bingo, for the same reason, go with a suppressor, then pick precision optic and tactical SR mag. For ammo, use whatever you can craft, but the best is smart AP ammo for extra damage, though it's expensive. Tungsten AP ammo is a cheaper but less damaging alternative. For this build, there is only one key armor choice: the Season Hunter boots. These boots ensure your hits always land on weak spots and give you 30% weak spot damage buff. This is especially powerful in PvP, as you can switch to your Bingo for guaranteed marking and always hit a weak spot no matter where you aim. It also works well with Wildfire since you'll be able to trigger Bullseye very consistently. For your set, I go with 4-piece Savior. This gives us 20% cooldown reduction on our medicine. It also gives us 10% weapon and status buff when our HP is above 70%. If we fall below 30%, our least potent activator will be used to keep us alive, but it has a 40-second cooldown. And when we use an activator, we gain 20% damage reduction to the torso and the limbs, movement speed, and become invisible for 2 seconds. This protects us from being ambushed in many cases. It basically gives us a second life. For the last piece, I go with Heavy Duty for an extra 10% HP, but you can always choose Scout. The difference is higher rarity gear gives more base HP, so Heavy Duty is better. Also, for Prism Clash only, you can make different fabrics to insert to your clothing. I highly recommend using Lightning Jean fabric on your chest piece and an Extreme Jean fabric on all other pieces of clothing. This ensures that you'll be taking less damage from weak spot builds and have a chance to proc a lightning strike on enemies that shoot you. Now onto mods. First, I'll share my opinion on the most optimal mods, then show you what I'm running. Since this is a PvP build, survivability matters most. The time to kill is really quick, so you want to reduce it as much as possible to survive. The keywords you want to focus on are precision or battlefield. I currently don't have good battlefield mods, so most of the ones that you see will be precision. For attributes, focus on weapon damage reduction, health, and weapon damage. For weapon mods, I like to go with Hunter's perk on my Wildfire, since I find myself more exposed to the enemy at a close range. For bingo, I use Vulnerability Amplifier because I can usually stay at a safe distance. For your helmet, use Precision Strike, since we'll constantly be hitting weak spots, giving us more damage. For your mask mod, Most Wanted fits the build really well, giving us more damage. For jacket mod, you have options. You can use Resist Advantage, Headguard, or Healing Fortification. In my opinion, the best one would be Healing Fortification. For your pants, there aren't many good options. You can either go with 3 strikes or, like me, go with Health mod. For your gloves, you can choose between Weak Spot Damage Boost or Munition Amplifier, depending on the attributes they have. For boots, go with Slow and Steady or Covered Advance, since both of them work really well. If you don't have good attributes for the mods I mentioned, you can always swap them out for Life Force Boost mod. Next, for your Cradle setup, I recommend Handgun Enhancement, Long Range Enhancement, Agility, Rapid Aid, Brawl Boost, Tactical Combo, Sprint, and Bounty Hunter. Although this is a strong build, it's by no means invincible, so it's crucial to understand the playstyle and react to each scenario. With this build, you're not entirely tanky, so it's important to fight from the mid to long range. If you ever go into close combat, you'll need a Mini Wander Deviant that absorbs bullets, giving you more time to survive. You can obtain this Deviant by crafting Vortex Grenade as your synthesis bench. Also, I strongly recommend avoiding close range combat, as there are much better close range builds out there that will shred you to pieces. I like to stay at a distance, pick enemies off, or get them low enough to use their activators. Once they've used their activator, I know I can get closer since it will be on cooldown for a bit. If you find yourself in a close range combat, a good tip is to keep jumping around, as it makes it much harder for enemies to shoot you. This build shines in crowded environments since your shots will be marking enemies and giving you wall hack. So you can stay on a tower and keep marking enemies with your bingo to show your teammates where they are. We can also increase our impact with consumables. Prism Clash brought a lot of new consumables. There are many combinations with their own purposes, from farming to staying hidden. You can obtain special consumables from specializations. If you don't get one, other people in your faction can always craft one for you. To keep it simple, I'll give you 2 of my favorites and when to use them. The first one is Speed Coherence Injection with Matterlet and Lightning Gene. This injection is perfect combination of survivability and crowd control. The injection stacks as you keep moving. At 10 stacks, when you ride a vehicle, you'll regenerate 5% HP every second and get a 60% max HP as shield when you exit the vehicle. This has a 30-second cooldown, but you can keep getting on and off your vehicle to refresh the shield. At 30 stacks, you gain damage reduction and more damage. Thanks to Lightning Gene, every 10 seconds, within a 20-meter radius, you send lightning strikes on enemies, which can one-shot them if they don't move. It's important to note that if you drop below a certain HP threshold, you'll lose the effect of this injection, so you'll need to reapply it. My second favorite consumable is the Rosetta Firepower drone with a support module. This drone goes around healing friends, attacking enemies, and reviving you if you go down. I usually use this drone in 2 situations, either when I'm defending a point with good cover or when my injection just disappeared and I don't have time to stack it back up. The downside is that the drone is very easy to destroy. Besides special consumables, you can use other deployables as well. I often use portable MG turrets or scout drones to put pressure on enemy. You can set up to 3 turrets and they can do a lot of damage. You can also use Stardust barriers which give you some cover when there is none, buying enough time to make a difference. For food, the best options are safety sandwich and iced tea. If it's hard to get safety sandwich, go for lunch meat, crumbly bread, mixed fried hot dogs, or Stardust ratatouille. Here are some tips I found useful for PvP. If you're using a bingo, you can cancel the bolt action animation by pressing A or D as you shoot, or simply aim and cancel. This lets you fire the weapon at a much faster rate. LMG is the best weapon for damaging player structures as it dishes out a large number of bullets at a faster rate. C4 seems to be the best option for raiding since it's not expensive, but using them in quick succession does less damage to structures, so try to spread them out. Don't leave your base outside in a contested area as it can be raided easily. If you're raiding a base, break the box first before destroying what it's standing on, or the loot won't drop. That's all from me, guys. I hope you have fun with this build. If you got more ideas or questions, drop them in the comments. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that bell for more Once Human content. Until next time, peace.